The church smelled of old hymns and judgment. Eleanor Wade stood at the altar in a borrowed dress, 2 sizes too large, its lace yellowed with age. Her hands were white around a bouquet of wilted prairie roses. She counted the floorboards 12 between her and the door and wondered if she could run. She couldn't. The pews were packed. Every soul in Copper Ridge had come to watch Eleanor Wade become Eleanor Hartwell. Some pitied her. Most judged him. All of them whispered. Beside her. Clayton Hartwell waited. Tall, broad-shouldered, 34 years old, and the wealthiest rancher in 3 counties. His hat was in his hands, his face unreadable. She'd expected cruelty in his eyes when she finally looked. Found only stillness. The minister droned on. Eleanor barely heard. Her father wasn't here. Couldn't bear to watch what desperation had made him do. The bank had threatened foreclosure. A stranger had offered salvation, pay the debt in full, if Eleanor married Clayton Hartwell. Her father had wept, then agreed. She hadn't been asked. Do you, Eleanor May Wade, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband? Her throat closed. The room leaned in. I do. Her voice cracked like thin ice. The minister turned. And do you? Clayton James Hartwell. I will. Not I do. Not the words everyone expected. I will. The murmur rolled through the pews like distant thunder. Eleanor glanced at him, startled. His jaw was set, his gaze forward. He hadn't looked at her once since she'd walked down the aisle. By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you man and wife. The words fell like a jail door closing. Clayton turned to her, offered his arm. She stared at it, this man's arm, this stranger who now owned her future. Her hand hovered, 3 heartbeats. 4. She took it. His grip was careful, not possessive, just steady. They walked down the aisle through a gauntlet of stairs. Outside, the October wind bit cold. He helped her into the wagon without a word, his movements precise, distant. She flinched when his hand steadied her elbow. He noticed, stepped back immediately. Name's Clayton, he said quietly, gathering the reins. Reckon you know that already. She nodded, mute. You all right, Miss Wade? It's Mrs. Hartwell now. The words tasted like ash. He didn't answer right away. Just clicked to the horses, guiding them toward the foothills. Only if you want it to be, he finally said. Eleanor watched the church shrink behind them. The town watched them disappear into the distance, and Clayton Hartwell drove in silence, his eyes on the road ahead, his thoughts locked somewhere she couldn't see. The horizon stretched wide and empty before them. The Hartwell ranch rose from the valley like a promise she didn't trust. 2 stories of timber and stone, windows that caught the dying light, a porch that wrapped around 3 sides. Smoke curled from the chimney, warm and welcoming. It was bigger than any house Eleanor had ever known, bigger than her father's entire homestead. Clayton helped her down from the wagon. She stepped away as soon as her feet touched ground. I'll show you inside, he said. She followed him up the steps, across the porch, through a door that opened into warmth. The front room had a stone fireplace, a braided rug, furniture that looked hand-carved and cared for. The smell of wood smoke and coffee hung in the air. Kitchen's through there, Clayton said, nodding toward an arched doorway. Pantry's stocked. You need anything? Silas, my ranch hand, he goes to town Wednesdays. Eleanor nodded, still silent. He led her upstairs. The hallway was wide, lit by oil lamps already burning low. He stopped at the second door on the right, pushed it open. This is your room. She stepped inside. 4-poster bed, quilt in shades of blue and cream, a washstand, a window facing east, and on the inside of the door, a lock. Clayton pointed to it. Use it if you need to. I won't knock unless you ask me to. Eleanor stared at the lock, then at him. You understand? He asked. Yes, she whispered. He nodded once. I'll leave you to settle. There's supper if you're hungry. He left, pulled the door shut behind him. Eleanor stood in the center of the room, heart pounding. She crossed to the door, turned the lock, heard it click home. Then she sat on the edge of the bed and stared at her hands. She didn't cry. Couldn't. Just sat there as the lamplight flickered and the house settled around her. Downstairs, Clayton ate alone at the kitchen table, 2 plates set, hers untouched across from him. He looked at it for a long time. Then he wrapped biscuits in a clean napkin and carried them upstairs. He left them outside her door without knocking. Morning came cold and gray. Eleanor woke to find the plate still there, biscuits wrapped in cloth that smelled faintly of lavender. She picked it up, brought it inside, ate sitting on the edge of the bed. The biscuits were cold but honest. Downstairs, voices drifted up through the floorboards. Town's already got opinions. Boss? That was Silas. She'd seen him yesterday. Older man with kind eyes and a crooked grin. Town can keep him. Clayton's voice, flat, final. They're saying you got yourself a pretty bargain. A pause. Then, she's not a bargain. She's my wife. Eleanor pressed her hand against the door. Listening. Just saying what I heard. Silas muttered, then stop hearing it. Boots crossed the floor. The door opened and closed. Silence returned. Eleanor stood there a long time. Then she unlocked her door. Didn't open it. Just unlocked it. That evening, she found fresh bread on the kitchen table, still warm. 3 days passed in careful silence. Eleanor moved through the house like a ghost, ate when Clayton wasn't in the kitchen, stayed in her room when he was downstairs. They crossed paths twice, once in the hallway, once on the porch, and both times he nodded and stepped aside. He never pushed, never asked, just left space. On the 4th morning, she came downstairs to find him at the table, ledger open, coffee steaming in a tin cup. He looked up when she entered. Morning, he said. Morning. She poured herself coffee. Her hands shook slightly. She sat across from him, gripping the cup like an anchor. They sat in silence, not comfortable, not hostile, just there. Why? The word escaped before she could stop it. Clayton looked up. Why did you agree to marry me? He set down his pen, leaned back, studied her with those steady, unreadable eyes. Man named Garrett came to me 6 weeks ago, Clayton said. Said he had a business arrangement, a marriage contract. Common enough out here. Told me you were 19, from a good family fallen on hard times. Said it'd benefit both sides. Eleanor's chest tightened. And you said yes. I said I'd think on it. He paused. I'm alone here. House is too big for one man. Thought maybe it'd be good to have someone. You didn't know. Her voice was hollow. Know what? That I had no choice. His face changed. Something flickered behind his eyes, surprise, then anger, then something softer. No, he said quietly. I didn't know that. She told him then. All of it. The drought that killed their crops. Her father's debts piling up like stones. The bank's foreclosure notice. Garrett's offer one she couldn't refuse if she wanted her father to keep his land. He wept when he told me, Eleanor whispered. But he told me anyway. Clayton's jaw tightened. And you came. Where else was I supposed to go? Silence filled the space between them. I'm sorry, he finally said. She looked up, startled. If I'd known... He shook his head. I thought it was mutual. A practical arrangement. When I saw you at that altar, He stopped. I saw your face. I understood then. But it was too late to stop it without shaning you worse. So you married me anyway. I did. He met her eyes. And I meant what I said. You're my wife. But that don't mean I own you. The words settled between them. Eleanor felt something shift small, fragile, but real. A knock at the door broke the moment. Clayton rose, opened it. A boy stood there, holding an envelope. From the Church Ladies' Committee, Mr. Hartwell. Clayton took it, nodded, closed the door. He read the letter, face darkening. Then he crossed to the fireplace and threw it in. What was it? Eleanor asked. Invitation. They want to throw you a welcome reception. Her stomach dropped. When? Sunday. He watched the paper curl and blacken. We're not going. We have to. If we don't, they'll let me handle the town, Clayton said. His voice was steel wrapped in calm. Eleanor wanted to argue, but the look in his eyes stopped her. That night, she left her door open, not wide, just enough for lamplight to spill into the hall. Clayton saw it when he came upstairs. He paused, didn't say anything. But the next morning, there was fresh bread on the table again, still warm. 2 weeks passed like water finding its level slow, cautious, but steadily forward. Eleanor learned the rhythm of the ranch. Clayton rose before dawn. She woke to the smell of coffee already brewing, the sound of his boots on the porch. He worked the land with Silas and 2 other hands, mending fences, checking cattle, preparing for winter. She found her own rhythms, baking bread, mending clothes, small things, useful things. They spoke more now. Not much, but more, one morning. Clayton asked if she wanted to learn to ride. She hesitated, then nodded. He brought out a chestnut mare, gentle-eyed and patient. This is Clementine. She's as sweet as they come. He showed Eleanor how to hold the reins, how to sit, how to signal. His hands guided hers careful, never lingering. The mare shifted beneath her, warm and alive. You're doing fine, Clayton said. The horse nuzzled Eleanor's shoulder. She laughed a startled, genuine sound. It surprised them both. Clayton smiled. Just a little. Just enough. They went to town the following Wednesday for supplies. Copper Ridge was small, one main street, a general store, a church, a saloon. The kind of place where everyone knew everyone's business, and most of it wasn't true. Eleanor felt the stares the moment they stepped down from the wagon. Women whispered behind gloved hands. Men smirked and nudged each other. Clayton walked beside her, steady and silent. His presence a wall between her and their judgment. Inside the general store, Mrs. Hawkins weighed flour and sugar without meeting Eleanor's eyes. Outside, a drunk cowboy leaned against a post, grinning. Well, well, he drawled. If it ain't the new Mrs. Hartwell, how's married life treatin' you? Darlin' Hartwell break you in gentle. Eleanor froze. Clayton moved. Not fast, not loud. Just moved stepped between her and the cowboy, his eyes winter cold. You got something to say, Clayton said quietly. You say it to me. The cowboy's grin faltered. He looked at Clayton, really looked, and whatever he saw there made him step back. I didn't mean nothing by it, the man muttered. Then don't say nothing. They left without another word. In the wagon, Eleanor sat stiff and silent. Clayton drove, jaw tight. I'm sorry, she finally said. He glanced at her. For what? For this, the gossip, the way they look at you. They can look all they want. Clayton said, don't change what's true. And what's true? He was quiet a moment. That you're here, that you're safe. That's all that matters. Eleanor looked at him, really looked, saw the lines around his eyes, the set of his shoulders, The way he held the reins like he held everything else steady, unshakable, kind. "Thank you," she whispered. He nodded. Didn't say anything more. That evening, as the sun set red and gold over the mountains, Clayton found Eleanor in the yard. She was planting something bulbs, small and brown. "What are those?" he asked. "Tulips," she said, "for spring." He watched her press them into the earth, cover them gently. "Do you think you'll still be here come spring?" She looked up, met his eyes. "Yes," she said. "I think I will." Something passed between them, then unspoken, fragile, real. Clayton nodded, turned to go, then stopped. "Eleanor." "Yes, I'm glad." He walked back to the house. Eleanor stayed in the garden, hands in the soil, heart lighter than it had been in months. November came cold and clear. The days shortened. Frost glazed the grass each morning. Eleanor learned to stoke the fire, to make stew that lasted, to mend Clayton's shirts where the seams had worn thin. They talked more now. About the weather, the cattle, small things that filled the space between them. But some nights, silence said more. It was late past midnight when Eleanor woke and couldn't fall back asleep. She wrapped a shawl around her shoulders and padded downstairs. Clayton sat on the porch, alone, staring at the stars, in his hands. A photograph creased and fading. Eleanor hesitated, then stepped outside. "Couldn't sleep?" she asked softly. He glanced up, didn't hide the photograph. Not tonight. She sat beside him, not close, just near. "May I?" He handed her the photograph, a woman with kind eyes and dark hair, a bundle in her arms, barely visible. "Mary," Clayton said. "My wife, and our son." Eleanor's breath caught. "Clayton, she died in childbirth, 5 years ago. The baby didn't make it either." His voice was steady, but distant. "I thought I'd buried that pain, but some nights it comes back." Eleanor looked at the photograph, at the woman who'd loved him first, at the child who'd never drawn breath. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I am too." He took the photograph back, tucked it into his pocket. "I married you because I was tired of being alone. That's the truth, but I didn't marry you to replace her. No one could." "I know." They sat in silence. The stars wheeled overhead, ancient and indifferent. Somewhere in the distance, a coyote called. "Do you still love her?" Eleanor asked. "Every day." He looked at Eleanor then. "But grief don't mean you stop living. Mary wouldn't want that. Neither would my son." Eleanor nodded, felt tears prick her eyes not for herself, but for him. "You're a good man, Clayton Hartwell." He huffed softly. "Town might disagree. Town doesn't know you. And you do." She considered. "I'm starting to—" He smiled, then small, sad, real. They stayed on the porch until the cold drove them inside. The next Sunday, Eleanor stopped wearing the borrowed dress tucked in her wardrobe. She put on a split skirt, boots, a practical blouse, braided her hair like she meant to work, not be looked at. Clayton noticed. Didn't say anything, but approval flickered in his eyes. They mended fence together that afternoon. Eleanor held the posts while Clayton drove the nails. She was stronger than she looked, her hands calloused now, her arms lean. "You're a natural," Clayton said. She grinned. "You're just saying that." "I don't say things I don't mean." She believed him. That evening, the minister came calling. Reverend Hayes, older man with a white beard and too much concern in his eyes. "Mrs. Hartwell," he said warmly. "The ladies are hoping you'll join them for the social next Sunday. Quilting circle, tea, fellowship." Eleanor's stomach tightened. Clayton started to speak, but she cut him off. I'll think about it. Reverend. Hayes smiled. Wonderful. The Lord calls us to community. After all. When he left, Clayton looked at her. You don't have to go. I know. She met his eyes. But maybe I should. Why? Because I'm tired of hiding. And because... She paused. Because I'm not afraid anymore. Clayton studied her, then nodded. All right. But if they give you trouble, I'll handle it. He looked like he wanted to argue. Didn't. That night, Eleanor planted more bulbs. Daffodils this time. For hope. Sunday came too fast. Eleanor dressed carefully, her best blouse. Skirt pressed, hair pinned. She looked like a woman going to war in Sunday clothes. Clayton offered to come. She shook her head. This is mine to face, she said. He didn't argue. But worry creased his brow. The church parlor was decorated with gingham and false warmth, tables laden with pies and tea. A dozen women stood in clusters, their smiles sharp as knives. The room went quiet when Eleanor entered. Mrs. Dalton, the banker's wife, approached first. Mrs. Hartwell, how lovely you could join us. Thank you for inviting me. The women settled into chairs, teacups balanced on laps. At first, it was bearable. Talk of recipes, weather, whose daughter was courting whom. Then Mrs. Dalton leaned forward, voice dripping concern. So, Eleanor dear, tell us, how does it feel to be bought? The room stilled. Every eye turned. Eleanor's hands tightened around her cup. I'm sorry. Well, Mrs. Dalton said, smile vicious. Everyone knows your father sold you to settle his debts. We're just curious, what's the going rate for a young woman these days? Another woman younger. Meaner laughed. At least Hartwell paid well. Your father got a good price. Didn't he? Eleanor stood. The chair scraped loud in the silence. My father was desperate, she said, voice steady. Your husbands would have let us starve. Clayton Hartwell gave me a choice. That's more than any of you ever offered. Mrs. Dalton's smile faltered. We're only concerned... No. Eleanor interrupted. You're cruel. There's a difference. She walked out. Didn't run, didn't cry, just walked head high, spine straight out the door and down the church steps. 2 miles home. She walked every step behind her. The town watched through lace curtains. Clayton found her on the porch, hands shaking, jaw tight. What happened? He asked quietly. She told him. Every word, every sneer. His face went hard. Not angry, colder than that. Controlled. They won't talk to you like that again, he said. You can't control what they say. He took her hand, first time he'd touched her beyond helping her mount a horse or steadying her on ice. His grip was warm, solid, real. No, he said, but I can make sure they hear me louder. She looked at him, saw the resolve in his eyes. What are you gonna do? Something I should have done from the start. He squeezed her hand gently. Trust me. Eleanor nodded. Yes. He didn't let go. Neither did she. They stood there as the sun set. Two people bound by vows they hadn't chosen but were starting to mean. That night, Eleanor couldn't sleep. She sat on her bed, staring at the packed bag she'd pulled from the wardrobe, staring at the letter she'd written in careful, shaking script. Dear Clayton, I'm leaving. Not because of you, because of me. Because I don't want to be the reason they turn on you. Because I don't know how to be someone's wife when I was never given the chance to choose it. Thank you for your kindness. I won't forget it. Eleanor. She folded it, set it on the nightstand, looked at the bag, then she looked at the open door. She'd left it open every night now. A silent invitation. A bridge. What was she doing? Dawn came gray and cold. Clayton woke early. as always. Came downstairs, saw Eleanor in the kitchen bag at her feet. Letter on the table. He picked up the letter. Read it. Looked at her. You're free to go, he said quietly. Always were. Her eyes filled. Then why do I feel trapped? By what? By this. She gestured helplessly. By you being kind. By me wanting to stay but not knowing if I should. Clayton set the letter down. Crossed the room. Stopped a few feet away close, but not crowding. Why did you marry me? She asked. Voice breaking. Really, not the loneliness, not the house. Why? He was quiet a long time. Because when I saw you at that altar, he finally said. I thought maybe we could both stop being lonely. Maybe we could both start over, not as strangers bound by paper, but as two people choosing each other. But I didn't choose you. I know. He met her eyes. So I'm asking now. Choose. Stay or go. Either way, you're free. Eleanor looked at him. At this man who'd given her safety, patience, kindness, who'd stood between her and the world's cruelty, who'd asked for nothing but her comfort. If I stay, she whispered, what then? Then we face 'em together, not me protecting you, not you hiding. Together. She closed her eyes, felt the weight of the choice settle in her chest. Then she picked up the bag, unpacked it, crumpled the letter. I choose you, she said. Clayton exhaled slow, steady, relieved. Then let me do something for you, he said. For us. What? You'll see, Sunday. The week passed in a blur of preparation. Clayton rode to town twice, met with the land office, had papers drawn up, came home with documents he wouldn't let her see. Trust me, he asked. Yes, she said, and meant it. Saturday night. They sat by the fire. Clayton handed her a cup of coffee. Tomorrow, he said, I'm going to make a statement. In front of the whole town. Her heart seized. What kind of statement? The kind that'll silence 'em. The kind that'll show 'em you're not mine to own. You're mine to honor. She stared at him. Clayton, trust me, he said again. She nodded, took his hand, held it. Outside, the first snow began to fall. Sunday morning dawned bright and cold. St. Paul's Church stood white against the blue sky, its bell ringing clear across the valley. The whole town gathered same pews, same faces, same whispers. But today was different. Eleanor sat in the front pew, hands folded, heart pounding so hard she thought everyone must hear it. Clayton sat beside her, calm as stone. The service began. Hymns sung, scripture read. Then, before the sermon, Clayton stood. Reverend Hayes looked startled. Mr. Hartwell. With your permission, Reverend, I'd like to say a few words. Hayes hesitated, nodded. Clayton walked to the front, pulled a folded document from his coat, faced the congregation. The church went silent. Most of you know, Clayton began, voice steady, that Eleanor came to me through arrangement. Some of you think I bought her. Murmurs rippled through the pews. You're wrong. He unfolded the paper. What I bought was her father's debt, paid it in full. What I gave Eleanor was a way out. What she gave me, he paused, was a second chance at something I thought I'd lost. He held up the document. This is the deed to the northern quarter of my ranch, 200 acres, water rights included, as of yesterday. It's registered in Eleanor Hartwell's name. Hers alone. Gasps, whispers, shock. She can sell it, work it, or walk away from it and from me anytime she chooses. She's not my property. She's my partner. He looked directly at Mrs. Dalton, at the drunk cowboy in the back, at every face that had judged them, If any of you got something to say about how we came together, you say it to both of us. Together. He sat down beside Eleanor, took her hand. The church was silent. Then Eleanor stood. Every eye turned to her. I came here with nothing, she said softly. Clayton gave me everything. Not land, not wealth, dignity, choice, safety. Her voice steadied. I'm staying because I want to. Because he's a better man than most of you deserve. And because... She looked at Clayton. Because I choose him. She sat. Clayton squeezed her hand. The silence stretched taut, breathless. Then Mrs. Porter, oldest woman in town, stood slowly, bones creaking. I was wrong, she said clearly, about both of you, and I'm sorry. One by one, others nodded. Some looked ashamed, some still skeptical. But the venom was gone. Reverend Hayes cleared his throat. Well, I believe that concludes our announcements. Let us pray. After the service, people filed out quietly. A few stopped. That was a good thing you did, Hartwell. One rancher muttered, wasn't about being good. Clayton said, was about being right. Outside, in the cold sunlight, Eleanor turned to him. You gave me land, she whispered. I gave you freedom. He smiled. What you do with it is yours to decide. She kissed his cheek soft, brief, genuine. Thank you. They walked to the wagon together. The town watched them go. But this time, the silence wasn't judgment. It was respect. Spring came early that year. February thawed into March. Snow melting into mud, mud drying into soil. Green shoots pushed through the earth grass, wildflowers. The tulips Eleanor had planted in October. She stood in her garden, dirt under her nails, planting apple saplings. They wouldn't bear fruit for years. She planted them anyway. Clayton found her there, leaning on a fence post, watching. Those won't be ready for a long time, he said. She grinned. Then it's a good thing I'm not going anywhere. He smiled, came to stand beside her. Need help, always. They worked together, digging holes, setting roots, covering them gently. The sun warmed their backs. The wind carried the smell of new grass. That evening, they ate supper together at the kitchen table, not across from each other, side by side. Town's quieter now, Eleanor said. People forget fast, or pretend to. Some apologized. Some didn't. She shrugged. Don't need their approval. No, Clayton agreed. You don't. She looked at him. You ever regret it marrying me? He set down his fork, met her eyes. Every life's got regrets. Eleanor, you ain't one of 'em. Her throat tightened. Good. 'Cause you're the best decision I ever made. He reached for her hand. She gave it. They walked her land at sunset. 200 acres stretching toward the mountains, hers by deed and by choice. They stopped at the fence line between her property and his. Want me to take it down? Clayton asked. Eleanor shook her head. Leave it. Why? Reminds me I chose to cross it. He looked at her. This woman who'd come to him frightened and forced. Who'd become someone fierce and free. I'm proud of you, he said quietly. I'm proud of us. He kissed her forehead. She leaned into him. They stood there, two people who'd been strangers. Now something far more. The apple trees swayed in the breeze. Somewhere, a meadowlark sang. You think they'll grow? Eleanor asked, nodding toward the saplings. I know they will. How Clayton smiled. 'Cause you planted 'em, and you don't do anything halfway. She laughed bright, genuine, free. They walked back to the house as the sun set. painting the sky in shades of gold and rose. The door stood open, lamplight spilling warm across the porch. Inside, the fire crackled. Coffee brewed. Home waited. Eleanor paused on the threshold, looked back at the land, the sky, the horizon stretching wide. Then she looked at Clayton. "Ready?" he asked. "Yes." She said, "I am." They stepped inside together. The door closed softly behind them. The frost melted early that year, and in the house where two strangers once stood silent, laughter finally found a home.